wife is knocked out. But in this video, I probably got the most interesting comment I ever got, and it's telling, and it's against what I said, but it's a very good comment. You know, I like having good debates. I like when people are logical and not just kind of stupid or random like Mook. Like when you ask him to explain something, he can't explain anything. He'll just be like, "You're Uncle Tom, you're tap dancing." But this guy here has like a really good, honest, and telling comment. Once again, it's Surface Sweller 751, and I want to get to his comment. But first, I gotta explain the history. I make videos replying to comments based on red pill topics, and one comment of his I replied to. He mentioned something like, he said, "Incel's problem not getting laid." Wait, let me go find it. Let me go find let me go find the actual comment. Uh, Damn. Okay. Well, it was something in the ballpark. I can't find it right now because I already made the video. You guys can go check it out. But in the video, he basically said, in the comment, he basically said that incel men not getting laid is going to become everyone's problem because the population is going down. And I made a response to that, and he disagreed with it. And this is the response he made, which is a good response. He goes, "Why are you twisting what I said? I did not say that women are going to come to me if we have a population deficit," which is true. He didn't say that. I was assuming that's what he meant. What you have to realize, Philko, is that you described that 850 is already happening. The guys who are getting laid more, and the birth rate is still declining. These men, on average, might get all these women pregnant, but they are still having less children than in past generations. Yeah, in certain places they are. Also, there's less genetic diversity, which increases the likeliness of cousins sleeping with each other and having children with birth defects. Wow, really? Okay, I'll get to that one. That one's crazy because there's many countries out there, especially in the Middle East, that when it comes to like who they marry and who they date, they kind of keep it within the bloodline and within the religion. So I don't. Maybe they do marry cousins. You know, we'll get to that later. But that's interesting. Um, like I said last time, I accept the fact that women do not own me, but you cannot have a whole population of men that cannot get laid. This is interesting. Like I said in the last comment, I accept that women do not own me, but you cannot have a whole population of men that cannot get laid with the population constantly growing and think that it will not negatively affect society. And you're right about getting my paper up. So that is what I concentrate on. You said that in Russia they have a birth rate problem, so the country encourages people to have more children. Did the birth rate bounce back after doing this? It takes a long time. It's not that fast. It takes a long time. What is the outcome? You keep on making these disingenuous arguments about women coming to me when I never said that they would. I am black pilled when it comes to this subject, which is good. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. I can swear that I left a comment about how I go to see escorts, to be honest. That is probably why I'm not mad as some involuntarily celibate men. Involuntarily celibate? I'll get to that. I'm actually fine with seeing escorts. The only problem I have with seeing escorts is the fact that the quality of escorts decreased in my area when they took down Backpage. Damn, that is very telling. Okay, and there's a part two. He says, what I'm saying is that we already know that women don't owe us, so why are you even bringing this up? Most involuntary celibate men are not saying that females owe us. Not the ones I see on YouTube at all. Men have the right to complain about the problems they have with women just like women do. I might come here and listen to men complain about women because it's something that I can relate to. But trust me when I tell you, when I'm out here trying to accomplish goals that I have, these videos are therapy. If you ask most people who know me in real life, what I'm looking for talking about, it's not women. It's mostly politics and getting money. Most guys I know who cannot get women, I'm not saying that women owe them. You must be going to the bowels of the internet to find these people, and if that's the case, you should go where you found those men who say that and say that to them. So I think that's a very good comment, but I'm gonna respond from top to bottom because there's certain things in here to me that this is a great comment. Like, I can definitely admit as a logical person when someone has a good response to me, whether it's against me or for me, it just has to make sense. So let's break it down from top to the bottom. He goes, why are you twisting what I said? Well, the reason why I twisted what he said is actually my fault, because when he said, incels' problems are going to be everyone else's problems because the population in certain places will go down, or they'll have population problems because some men don't get laid. So I assumed that he was saying that, we need to get laid so the population can increase. That's what I was assuming he was saying, because I don't know why else he'd say that, but let's go on. I did not say that women were going to come to me if you have a population deficit. What you have to realize, Philko, is that what you described at 850 is already happening. The guy, what I mentioned was in places where there's not so many men who could get laid, for example, the women will still go and sleep with the same men. That typically happens. So there's a lot of men who can't get any, and then there's a few men who get a lot. It's just how it is. Again, laid more birth rates grant. These men on average might get all these women pregnant, but they are still having less children in past generations. That's true, especially in places like Korea. But what it comes down to is more of economic, society, and culture of the time. So even if the incels were getting laid, it wouldn't make a difference because a lot of the women don't want children and a lot of the men don't want children. So I don't think incels getting laid have anything to do with it. It just they're not having babies. It's just how it goes. Also, less this is interesting. And there's less genetic diversity, which increases the likeliness of cousins sleeping with each other and having children with birth defects. I ain't gonna lie to you. If you an incel, your odds are your genetics ain't good in the first place. And this is why I'm gonna say that, because I'm not just speaking on the physical. I'm speaking the mental. And if you're not good enough to compete with the average man where you are, I'm pretty sure your genetics aren't that good. So maybe you're not going to have babies with birth defects, but if you want to talk genetics, the last people who need to get laid are incels. But I'm not attacking incels. I'm being dead ass. Like, why else would you be an incel if you had good genes? I'm not saying I have good genes, but I'm just saying it is not just about the physical. It's also about the mental, about your drive, your creativity, your intelligence. All these things raise your odds of getting ladies. So if you had good genetics, why would you be an incel? If does genetics matter to you so much? So I don't think I can go with that one. Like I said in the last comment, I have accepted the fact that women don't own me, but you cannot have the whole population of men that cannot get laid with the population consistently growing and think that will not negatively affect society. And you're right about getting my paper up, so that's what I concentrate on. Society could do well without the men who can't get laid. They'd be better off bringing in men, like you said, diversity. They'd be better off bringing in men who have good money, good genetics to mix with the population to make it better. They'd have a much better odds of doing things like that, which some countries are doing. Now, they're not specifically targeting attractive men and stuff, but if you make a certain amount of money, you could buy a house, you could do things. That's usually how people measure genetic value in today's day and age. It's like how much money you have, kind of. Because if you have money, they typically think you have good genetics, or at least a good family, or you're smart or a good hustler. So that's usually nowadays what kind of gives a good clue to a person to have good genetics is the money they make. And a lot of countries are looking for those people with money. So you can buy citizenship in lots of countries if you got money. They want you to marry their women in these countries if you got money and they have a population deficit. Like, they're looking for that. They're looking for the men with money. That's why, in order for you to get a residency or something, which is the easiest way, it isn't like how tall you are, how attractive you are, how good you could rap, how well you could dunk. It's if you can afford this, you could be with us. And that's how that kind of works. Population constantly growing and negative effects on it. You said the rest they have a birth rate problem, so the country encourages people to have more children. Yes, did the birth rate bounce back after this? What is the outcome? As of now, they just started. You know what I mean? They just started, and I think Russia's problem with the birth rate isn't even just it has nothing to do with the men who can't get laid. It's way more about how people feel about their country and the political climate and economics in Russia. It has nothing to do with incels who can't get laid. Like, in Russia, if you're an incel, it's worse than in America. Um, but like, first of all, a lot of people don't even want to stay there. A lot of people leave Russia, especially since the war. So that ain't helping shit. So it's kind of deep in Russia. I think they're recovering. I don't know if the war's ending. I don't really keep up with it, but the war definitely didn't help anything when it came to population of Russia. The war definitely didn't help. Because I mean, I was in Thailand at one point, and the Russians were flooding it after that war started. They were and Turkey, and they were flooding it. So if they got a population problem, which they do, that war it didn't help shit. And that when they were recruiting people, like drafting and shit, definitely didn't help. So yeah, it has nothing to do with incels on that one. You keep on making these disingenuous arguments about women coming to me when I never said they would. That's true. I am black pilled when it comes to this subject. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. My thing is, I don't think you're black pilled if you complain about women in society. Because if you're complaining about women in society, you're not really complaining about them. In my opinion, you're complaining about yourself. Because besides the court system, I haven't heard one decent argument or what there is to complain about when it comes to women. If they expect too much, that's your problem if you can't provide it, or it's your problem if you can't convince them otherwise. Like that's the whole point. So let's say, for example, I got a problem with women in society wanting a first date to be at Red Lobster. I don't know what restaurants are expensive, right? And that's what she typically expects. If I'm not good enough, even from Tinder, for example, to look good enough, spit good enough game, and be funny enough, whatever it may be, even when I'm meeting, we meet, let's have a walk in the park. And if I'm not able to do this and convince her that I don't need to take her to Red Lobster on the first date, then you ain't special. And you don't deserve the check if you don't want to take her to Red Lobster. Like that's just part of what you got to do as a man if you want this woman to really be with you. So I just need to hear what there is to complain about when it comes to women because I think that's your problem, and it's not a woman's problem. It's your problem. If you're black pilled, I don't see the point of ever complaining unless it's the court system with custody. I agree that's bugged out. But what is there to complain about women? There's so many different women with so many different opinions and so many different sizes, shapes, colors. So I got to hear any of these complaints because I would like to reply to each complaint one by one because I guarantee you they're going to be nonsense. They're going to be nonsense because I always try to explain to people she's going to have her expectations. And the more riz you have, the more she's willing to adjust those expectations, the more she's willing to adjust for you. So maybe she's not into guys who are under 6 feet. That happens a lot. But maybe this guy has good money. Maybe this guy's really funny. Maybe this guy's a really good boxer. Maybe this guy is a really good cook. Like he's a 5-star chef and all this stuff. Those are things you got to build yourself to. So when it comes down to it, she's willing to cross certain things on the list, off the list, that she had on there as necessities. But because you're so great in other places, she's like, you know what? That's all right. I can deal with that. That's all right. That's your job as a black pill dude. If you're talking about well, you are complaining about women or something, but if you're talking about being black pilled, your job is to step your game up in all those other categories to make her forget the categories that you don't meet the requirements of. Give me the actually, I have to comment about how I go see escorts, and to be honest, it's probably why I'm not mad at some other involuntary celibate men. Involuntarily celibate? I'm gonna get to that dumb shit, but he said go see escorts. Man, look, do your thing. I'm never judging consenting adults. I honestly wish prostitution was legal and in more than just one state. I wish well, legal, but like I don't mean like I want them running in the street half naked in school hours and shit. I mean like they do in what is it, Nevada? Like the bunny ranch and stuff like that. I think that should be perfectly legal. Like I think it's ridiculous that it's not legal. In my opinion, it's absolutely ridiculous that it's not legal. Like if guys can't get laid and there's women who's willing to lay them for a price, I think they should be able to do that. Everyone's happy. You know what I mean? Like I think it's ridiculous that it's illegal. I really think it's ridiculous that it's illegal. I'm all for consenting adults. You know, if you're an adult, do your thing. But you said as mad as some other involuntarily celibate men. There's no such thing as involuntarily celibate. That's bullshit. And I will prove it to you right now. If any of you men lowered your standards, it wouldn't be involuntarily celibate. You can get laid, but you don't want to lay those really low hanging fruit girls, just like the average girls don't want to lay you. Just like that. You can get laid if you want to. It won't be the quality you want. It probably won't even be the gender you want if you want to get deep, pause. But there's no such thing as involuntarily celibate. There's no such thing as involuntarily celibate unless you're in a prison and there's not a bunch of women around. There's no such thing. Because if you really lowered your standards, like really lower them, you can get laid. You ain't got 25 bucks, go around the corner to that cheap hoe, for example, you could get laid. But at the end of the day, I know people don't want to do that. I get it, but there's no such thing as involuntarily celibate. It's all about how hard you go at it. And if you're not going at it hard enough, like the first thing I always say, are you in shape? If you're not even in shape, you're not taking it seriously. You're not taking it seriously because if you can't take care of yourself, what makes you think a woman's going to look at you and think you could take care of her, even sexually? So the first thing I always say is, are you in shape, even a little bit? Are you overweight? Things like that. Do you groom? Do you brush your teeth? You got fucked up teeth, whatever it is. I don't believe in involuntarily celibate. It's about what you put into it. And if you put things into it, you can definitely get the low hanging fruit easily. Maybe not the lowest. I mean, the lowest too, but I'm not talking about the lowest. Maybe let's say girls are on levels from 1 to 10. Um, let's say you're an incel and you don't take care of yourself. You could get laid by the ones. Period. It doesn't matter. You can get laid by the ones. Now I know no one wants the ones, but you can get laid by the ones. You just don't want to lay them, but you can. You could be a two dude, one chick. You can get laid by the ones. You know the girl from the block used to beat everybody up with the Akuma ponytail. You can lay her. You can. She might talk about it and tell everybody, but you could lay her if you really wanted to. You could lay her, but no one wants to. That's why I don't say it's involuntary because you can't get laid by the girls you want to get laid by. That's like me saying, that, just to exaggerate, that's like a man who only wants to have sex with the hottest women in the world, like any woman who won Miss Universe, and none of them would lay him. And he goes, "I'm involuntarily celibate." Where he could go out to any club and get a girl, but he doesn't want those girls. So there's no such thing as involuntarily celibate. There's always a woman out there who's willing to lay you. Just she may not be attractive. She may not even smell good. She may not look good, but that's not involuntarily celibate. I don't see that and tell the last comment tell about how I go see escorts, blah blah blah. I'm actually fine with seeing escorts. Awesome, man. Do your thing. No judging here. The only problem I have with seeing escorts is the fact that the quality of escorts decreased in my area when they took down Backpage. I remember Backpage. It was Backpage and that other one. It was Backpage and I mean I didn't use it when I was in New York, but it was Backpage. Somebody got to help me out. Like people are using it to rent apartments, make friends, find hoes. It was so popular when I was in America like 15 years ago. Oh, come on. I really want to remember this. Backpage and Craigslist. Craigslist. I remember Craigslist. Me and my father were renting out apartments to people using Craigslist, man. Okay, so another part, he goes, and what I'm saying is that we already know that women don't owe us, so why are you bringing this up? Most involuntarily celibate men, I disagree with that, are not saying that females owe us. Men have the right to complain about the problems they have with women just like women do. I might come here and listen to men complain about women because it's something that I can relate to, but trust me when I tell you I'm not here trying to accomplish, I am out here trying to accomplish goals that I have. These videos are therapy. If you ask most people who know me in real life, I am known for not talking about women. It's mostly politics and getting money. Now that's really good. I like the fact that he likes getting money and talking politics and stuff like that. He's trying to accomplish his goals. That's how I think most men should be. But I guess in order to understand him more fairly, I got to hear some of these complaints about women because I'm still laughing at the whole involuntarily celibate men. It's pretty it's pretty it sounds childish. Now I don't want to assume again and be wrong, but if he's saying men are involuntarily celibate, can a woman who's a 5 be involuntarily celibate too? Or would they say, oh, it's easier for her to get laid, it's easier? If they say that, yeah, they don't make sense to me, and I would get back to that. So I'm gonna wait for his response because they'll probably see this video. And then he said, most guys I know who cannot give women are not saying that women owe them. Okay, so I'm gonna get to what I was talking about. And I hate to call out his name, but because he's a cool dude, I like watching his videos, but there's just certain things he said, and I'm just like, wow, is he serious? So there's a guy I watched called Savvy Guy. He's apparently from everyone I used to follow, like 8 years ago when I had this channel, he's the only one's videos that pop up. So I watch it sometimes, and he said some crazy things. But one thing he said, I was just like, is he serious? He was like, women not texting back is immaturity. That was one of his videos. He was talking about why don't they just say no? Why don't they text me back and stuff? Like, that's immature. And I'm just like, and all his comments, guys were agreeing with it. And so I'm just thinking, like, that most likely is her way of saying no. Like, she doesn't owe you a text. So what I try to explain to men through the videos is that if you give a girl your number, or she lets you get her number, exchange numbers, or whatever, it doesn't always mean she likes you. A lot of times women do that for safety reasons. They do that because they're not comfortable with the guy who's approaching them, and they don't want to make the situation awkward or more tense, so they may give him the Instagram or may give him the number, but it doesn't mean she likes you or even wants to contact you. I know it sounds crazy and it may be immature, but women are the weaker sex. That's why they kind of do these things to stay safe sometimes. And maybe sometimes when they meet you, they may want to talk to you, but when they get home, they're like, screw it. I already have a boyfriend or already like someone. It's just kind of how it is. So if a girl doesn't text back, I don't think it's immaturity. She doesn't owe you a text. That was my point. She's probably just not into you, or she did it for safety reasons. She did it for safety, or she just wanted to be nice to you at the moment, but she has no interest in you. So I don't think it's immaturity. It's just a lot of girls just don't feel safe straight up telling you no. They may try to be nice, like, sorry, not now, or have a boyfriend when they don't. They try to make the situation nice all the time. You know what I mean? A lot of them try to make it nice. Some of them will be mean, like, no, you ugly, get out my face, you smell like peanut butter, whatever it could be. But a lot of girls do it for safety reasons. So the last thing he said, most guys I don't know cannot get women saying women all them. You must be getting bows on the internet. It could be because I don't. I would like to watch. So since this guy, Surface Sweller, talks about involuntarily celibate men that he watches, please advise me some good red pill dudes or involuntarily celibate men who make videos and complain about women, because I want to hear this, because I just can't, as a basically 40-year-old man, complain about women. I just don't see the complaints, because whenever I'm here, I never get a good complaint. I respond to my critics, I respond to everyone in full, and I just don't hear any good complaints about women. If any good complaint is the court system with custody, I'm with that all the way. But other than that, guys, to me, they just kind of sound like they're missing testosterone. Like, I don't know what you're complaining about. It's not what they expect, it's what you get them to accept. That's part of being a man, getting them to accept your terms. You know how many men are married to like 3 women, and these women never thought they would be in a relationship like that, but that man was so good at what he did, he convinced those women to do it? What are you complaining about? I mean, no one's stopping you from, like you said, you hustle, you get your money, but no one's stopping you from getting it. No one's stopping you from working out. No one's stopping you from being a champion arm wrestler. Like, there's so many things in this life you can do to bring up your value. Like, so many things you can do to bring up your value. So I don't see any value in complaining about women because you can't get it. That's just how I feel. So, and I would say stick to the escorts. I think more men, I don't know if this video is going to get blocked for saying this, but all right, hold on. Let me think of a good way to say this. Let's put it like this. I think men in states where it's legal, in the United States of America, should enjoy escorts because it's nice, safe, and legal, and it'll help you with your stress. Hopefully the price isn't too much, but if the price is too much for you, step your game up and get more money. That's what you need to do. You need to step your game up and get more money. I don't know how much those bunny ranches cost in Nevada, what is it, like maybe 300 an hour or something. But I'll tell you this, you go to other places around the world, $12, $18, like straight up 20 is like high. It's expensive. I'm not even close to joking. I'm not even close to kidding. So it's all about where you are, who you know, stuff like that. But you gotta be careful when you travel to these crazy places. But yeah, so yeah, that's really all I gotta say. I don't have much to say. It was a good comment. I like responding to good comments, whether it's for or against me. You know, I really don't care. I think a lot of people are internet sensitive. You know what I mean? Like they see a comment and they get mad, like "fuck this guy," they delete it. I've never been like that. I just don't like stupid comments. Like I don't like stupid comments. You know what I mean? Like it just makes no sense. It's just pure immaturity, and they don't explain themselves. I delete those. But if you're even critical of me and you explain yourself well, I'll put it. So whenever I'm here, like I'm always asking questions from my audience, like, what is a valid complaint about women? Like I always ask this, what is a valid complaint about women? Like it's so weird to me imagining a bunch of men coming together and complaining about women. Like he's, I'm sorry, like to me it sounds like there's something wrong with all of you. Like when I imagine that, I imagine a bunch of fat dudes in a circle, breathing heavy, um, Doritos and overweight cats, and are talking about how they complain about women, then they talk about how they spend 20 hours a day on Overwatch. Like that's just what I imagine. I can't imagine well put together, groomed men looking good, complaining about women in general. I can see them coming together and complaining about their ex-wives. She took half my money. She did this and that. Yeah, but just complaining about women in general because you can get laid and you can't get laid and you consider it involuntarily celibate, which is insane because you can get laid. You just don't want to lay the number. You just don't want to lay the ones. Nobody wants to lay the ones, but you can. You could use the most minimal effort. You could lay the ones, but you don't want to lay the ones. You want the sixes, sevens, like most guys, right? Then that's not involuntary. You're not getting the ones you want, so it's different. Um, so yeah, man. I guess I'm gonna end this. But if you guys got any comments, bring it forward. And I'm not attacking dudes. I'm saying step your game up. I just feel if you're a man who complains about the state of women, you're the issue because you can't step your game up well enough. So you're complaining, and everyone else that I know, at least from my side, are having a good time, even making money with women. So when I'm hearing guys complain about women, I'm like, where have you been? You must be in the wrong circle. You need a better circle. I would say that because being in Russia, I definitely made a good circle in Russia when it came to like women in business. Actually, I started it. I literally started that circle. I started it. What I mean, I found the good. I started it. Like, I literally took two of my homies upstairs of my condo, my duplex. I literally took them upstairs. I was like, this is how I'm making money. Now they're doing it. No one's complaining. We all have women who work for us. We all have women who work on and off camera. We all have women who take care of us, whether we have wives, girlfriends, whatever. And we're always surrounded by women. They just do it somewhere else now. I do it here where I am. But that's how we all get by. You know, that's how we basically do it. There's women everywhere. So when I hear men complaining about women, I'm like, what's the complaint? It must be you. Maybe if you looked at you more, you would see the issue because I'm just so far gone and lost. And I'm always asking while I'm here on these lives for anyone to give me one of the complaints about women. I never get an answer. Or if I do get an answer, it's one that's easily shut down. Shit, I gotta start offering money for people to tell me these complaints because I don't get them. So, like he said, all this stuff, surface sweller, and it was a good comment, but he didn't mention one complaint about women. I remember someone said in one of my last lives how women inconvenience them. What the fuck you mean inconvenience you? It's fucking ridiculous. You know? So let's put it this way. Do you ever play a game and this game a lot of other people beat? You know a lot of other people are beating this game. Would you complain to the creator that the game is too hard because you can't beat it? and start complaining about the game, no, that's your problem. It's the same thing with women. There's many men out there getting laid, getting married to great women, all this stuff all the time, and then you're complaining about the state of women because you can't do it. I think the problem is you, because many other men are doing it. Why not you? Why aren't you one of those men? That's the question. Why aren't you one of those men? Because women are the problem? Then why are those other men doing it? That's what I'm trying to explain. Why are those other men doing it and you're not if women are the problem? And you know what else I learned? That a lot of people who aren't in relationships, they usually have bad opinions of relationships. I hear the craziest shit. And I guess that's time for another video, but I just hear some of the craziest stuff from some of these guys who aren't in relationships. And I just think, like, I just don't understand why they say these things. Maybe they need to find somebody. Maybe they need to, get a good experience with someone. Um, I don't know. They just say that a lot of negative things about relationships, but they don't have one, and I guess maybe because they don't have one. That's what makes them say those negative things, make them feel better about not having one. That could be the case. But I mean, to each his own, and that's really it, guys. I guess it is late. Somebody said it's 11:30 in NYC, so I guess it's real late. I'm doing this at a late time. I'll be live and random. I don't know what time it is in New York. I don't know what time it is in California or wherever you guys may be in Russia. I don't know. So yeah, it was a good comment, and I'm out.